what I want to do is talk about a competent response, and I'm going to talk about the revenue recognition issue. Then I'm going to talk about the taxes payable, and then Nikki's going to talk about the weakness implication recommendations of our IT policies. So if you give me 1 second to get that open. All right. So whenever you're dealing with any financial reporting issue, you need to use the IAR approach. You start by stating what the issue is, then you provide an analysis, and then you give a recommendation. IAR, issue, analysis, recommendation. So what I recommend is when you're starting out your memo, if you have 3 financial reporting issues, you type the headings issue, analysis, recommendation, copy it into your clipboard, and then just repeat it 3 times. So you have those headings set up. Why? Because it forces you to get that approach. And then you can see, okay, well, I've got my issue, analysis, recommendation approach. Now, when we're looking at the tour deposits, we start out by putting the title of what the issue is. So the marker knows what you're talking about. And I'll be honest, as a former case marker, sometimes I had no idea what the student was talking about. So that gets your marker on side. Then you state the issue and you explain what the issue is and why it's an issue. So SPT has recognized revenue on the deposit fees paid by customers for tours to be conducted in 2025. Should it be recognized in 2024 or 2025? So then we go into our analysis section. In the analysis section, we state the handbook criteria. According to ASPE 3400, revenue can be recognized when the following criteria are met. Performance is achieved, revenue can be measured, collection is reasonably assured. For all of the criteria, you must analyze it with a case fact and then clearly state whether it's met or not met. Now, you put the met or not met at the beginning of it or at the end of it, whatever is you are happy with, but it's absolutely essential that you explain with a case fact why it's met or not met. So we see here the tour will not be delivered until the following year. The tour, therefore, SPT has an obligation to the customer. So that means that performance is not achieved. So we say not met. But even though that's not met, we still need to go on to all of the criteria to get to competent. And I've had a student ask me in the past, oh, well, if the first one's not met, can I save time by not answering or not assessing the rest of the criteria? The answer to that is no. You have to assess all of them to get to competent. Second one, with measurement, revenue can be measured. The deposit fee is clearly set at 50% of the tour cost, $50 per person. This is met, so that's met, that's good. And then finally, collection, deposit is already made at the time of booking, that's met. So that the 2 of the 3 are met. So we go on to make our recommendation. The deposit fee should not be recognized in 2024. Instead, this revenue should be deferred. The liability of the 2025 tour should be recorded, and revenue should be recognized at the time the services are rendered when the tour is delivered in 2025. So you see there that I clearly explain when revenue should be recognized, and then we give the entry to correct that: debit deposit fee revenue, credit deferred revenue. Now, with that, this is you can see here that there's not a lot that needs to be done as far as words. If you can keep it nice and easy and very, very bullet point form, you'll get the competency much quicker. Now, I'm going to put a copy of this in the chat box if you guys are interested in looking at it. All right. Matthew, your question. I kind of laugh when you said, does anybody find this one easier than the weekly ones? I think it's just because you're getting better. It's like the first time I did a push-up, it was terrible. And then the second push-up was actually just even more terrible. But now I can do 10 push-ups and probably not break a sweat. So that's probably just the fact that you're starting to see the cases are more, you're more exposed to it. So the thing is, I see here Bushra, sorry. You don't need to copy the whole ASPE section. No, memorize the criteria for the handbook sections and just put the criteria in nice, easy to remember snippets. You'll find that in how they're listed in the feedback guide is really nice and concise. And Mackenzie, if you find that if you're getting bogged down in too many words, see how much you can strip out, really follow what the feedback guide says for criteria, and then you'll be able to write a lot less. Conciseness is the most important thing.
Rob, there's one
Any
from
key strengths?
Daniel I wanted to read out. It says, would we not need to break down when, how performance is achieved in our analysis, as in analyze each individual criteria of performance being met?
No, you don't have to do that. Only when there is a complexity in the performance. This performance is very obvious, meaning that the tour is happening next year, performance is not achieved. If you have something more complex, such as a multiple deliverable situation or a bill and hold situation, then you need to get a bit more in depth with those performance. But this one here, the revenue recognition issue is fairly straightforward. I would not say it's very straightforward, but it's very straightforward. Or do I need to write a conclusion? Yes, you should always have a conclusion for your quant because sometimes the markers can't figure out what your final number is. So that just reinforces to the marker, hey, I'm done. Here's my result.
Do you need to write a purpose to achieve competent? It does depend on
Um,
the assessment opportunity. Lots of times there is a difference between RC and C comes down to a conclusion. But I mean, it does depend. It's always a good habit, don't you think, Rob, to write the conclusion?
yeah, it's highly recommended for all CPA candidates in their calculations to put purpose and conclusion. And there's actually a chapter in the enabling ebooks competencies, ebooks chapter on enabling competencies that talks about preparing a quantitative analysis, and it reinforces that there. Is RC given on the time constraint? So an RC is better than an NC. If you are running out of time, get something down, do your best. I call it cover your butt moment where you just try to get something down. So hopefully you get an RC. They can't mark anything that doesn't get onto the paper. So if you are running out of time, get that whatever you can get down just to get that RC. Okay.